Hi, it's Pastor Andy with Monday's discipleship video this week, and today we're going to talk about Paul's companions. Paul included several people. He mentioned several people throughout the various letters that he wrote. Timothy and Luke are certainly very prominent. Silvanus, also known as Silas, which was a part of the first journey with Barnabas, is included in some of those. Titus, Epaphroditus, Mark, or other well-known individuals, at least to many as well. And the point of Paul mentioning these individuals is not simply to record a name, but to show that there was a partnership in ministry, a partnership in his ministry. In fact, over 30 people are mentioned specifically as ministering with Paul, and that 30 people does not include most of those listed in Romans chapter 16, verses 3 through 16. Priscilla and Aquila would be included in that 30, but most of the others would not. The point is that Paul did not do ministry alone. He was imprisoned multiple times, but that did not keep him from including others. Perhaps while he was confined, he was only directing ministry efforts, but they were still partnering with him, and they were sending him things, including food, to sustain him during that time. Again, partnering with Paul in ministry. We see the same characteristics then in Paul that we saw in Jesus. Jesus had times when he was alone, for instance, when he was praying. But most every instance of Jesus ministering to others includes involving a disciple, or maybe 3, or maybe 12, or more. The same, it seems, was true for Paul. Again, many different individuals are listed in his different letters, and others are mentioned in Acts. Paul's aim, like that of Jesus, was to disciple individuals so that they would in turn disciple others and continue that sequence without end. And quite frankly, that's why we are here today. In fact, Paul wrote those very words in the last letter that he wrote, which was 2 Timothy. In 2 Timothy 2:2, Paul wrote to his protege to take what you have heard from me and to share it with faithful men so that they might share it with others as well. Did you hear that? There's 4 generations there. You, Timothy, take what you've heard from me, generation 1. Timothy is generation 2. Pass these things that you've heard in front of many witnesses to those who are faithful men, generation 3, so that they might pass it on to others, generation 4. And those others were then trained to continue that process to this day. In other words, don't let the teaching end with you. And again, it hasn't so far. But as the adage goes, the gospel is only one generation away from extinction. If there is one generation that chooses to hear the gospel and chooses not to share it, then who can hear about the gospel? And as Romans 10 reminds us, faith comes by hearing. So we need to be about proclaiming the gospel. Certainly the Bible would still be around in some manner, but we need to be about proclaiming, sharing the gospel. Verbally sharing the gospel is important, but so is engaging in life with them. And that is the model that we see with Paul. That is the model that we see with Jesus. Now, life was certainly different then. They were a much more communal culture, especially in comparison to those of us in a Western culture today, which is such an individualistic type of society. The travel that they did then might take days or weeks or even longer. We can travel by car, by ourselves, far further in an hour than many of them could travel in many days, or even on horseback in a day, as they traveled with others for safety and for protection. So as you think about spending time with other people, consider the way Jesus, consider the way Paul, consider the way that some of these other names that are in the Bible spent time with their friends, spent time with their family, spent time with strangers. Now, we don't have to spend every moment thinking about the Bible or talking about theology, but at any time we can take the opportunity to share about the things of God through our actions as well as through our words. So let's make the most of every opportunity, each and every day for the glory of God.